whether you're a small organization or a large organization, you're a hiring leader, I've heard this from you many times. I don't have a dedicated hiring resource. Look, if you don't have a dedicated hiring resource, you've got two options, right? You do it yourself, or your leadership team, your management team is having to actually do it. And really, you don't have the time, you don't have the energy, and to be honest, you probably don't have the expertise to do it in the first place. And if you find yourself in this situation, you first got to ask yourself two questions. What's the business need that you're trying to solve for in the first place? And who do you need to actually solve for that actual need? And the second question you've got to ask is, do you or your team have the time, the resources, and the connections to actually make this happen? Now, the answer to probably the second one is no. That's why you're watching this video in the first place. So Melissa, I'm Melissa. Thank you for joining me. We've got a couple of thoughts around, couple of suggestions around things that you can do if you're in this situation to do recruiting yourself, or you're just in the situation where your needs outweigh the time and the effort that you have. And one of the things that we talk about, Melissa, and you and I have had this conversation multiple times, is be careful about how you write or record videos, and do it not in an authentic way. What's kind of your thoughts on that? What recommendations would you give?
No, that's exactly right. Because with everybody being so busy now too, you really have like a very small window to attract candidates to your site or a posting on LinkedIn. So taking the time to really assess, have I looked at what I'm going to put out there on social media, right? Because a lot of people are on their phones and doing quick takes at companies. So you first have to really sit down and assess, do we have that already in place? Are we sending the right message about our company? Are we giving that great first impression to a candidate to say, ooh, you know what? I want to click on this and I want to start looking further into it.
Well, I think you just wrapped it up perfectly. You've got to create and be intentional about the voice that you create, so that when you do have a job open, people come to you and it's easier. You don't have to go looking for them to put your message out in front of.
Yes, correct.
So let's look at number two, and this it's kind of goes without saying, but let's go to our network. Let's see if our network can help us actually find people. But I find we do it wrong. So what's your advice to somebody when you say, go out to your network and see if they can help you fill that role in the first place?
Yeah, because I think a lot of people just ask, typically one or two people that maybe they talk to on a regular basis, versus really digging into who's actually in my network. Do I have the right people in my network for, let's say you're looking for an accounting position and you're not an accountant? Where do I kind of start, and how can I tap the resources that I do have in my network that might be able to lead me to somebody else, or, guide me in a direction of maybe a group or something local or whatever, that I can kind of have a place to start? Because I think oftentimes people just go, oh, I'll reach out to my network. But are you actually using your network to the advantage of that specific role or roles that you're trying to fill? Does it make sense for you to start reaching out to folks that aren't in those positions or might not know people in those positions?
And I think just as importantly, and you referenced this in the previous one, is we've got to be careful about the messaging that we put out there, right?
Yes.
There's a process to getting who we are out. We've got to humanize who we are as an organization, who you are as an organization, to attract people. I mean, we have an example where we did some work for UTC, the large aerospace and technology organization. And it wasn't just about positioning what we're looking for, but it was positioning the impact that that position has on the organization.
Yes, you're creating an overall, package, a present to people. Whereas before, I think years ago, it just used to be, let's post a job description and let's see who applies. And, oh, people will be interested because, we're this company. But now with everything that's gone on and a lot of work from home, that's opened up a whole new market for companies to start looking for folks outside of a state that they would have normally said you have to be at headquarters. So they're now expanding it. So if you're not local to that area, how do you get your message across to other candidates outside of that? And I think that's opened up a big window that people didn't think about even the beginning of this year.
Yeah, I think we got to. Think we got to make sure we have a structure around this, right? When we're posting stuff on social, on LinkedIn, those tools that are really great. Number one, we've got to have a strong opening statement.
We're a place where anyone and everyone can be approached to share ideas with.
Generally, that strong opening statement actually challenges what the existing beliefs are about an industry, about an organization, and then we want to make it even more real and tell a story about who we are, the impact that we have on the community. And then the last piece is some type of call to action. Because if we just talk about how we're impacting the community, but we're not giving you a call to action to say, Melissa, apply now, be part of the change that we're creating. I think there's got to be a specific structure if we have to attract those individuals, and we just don't have the time to do it.
Exactly. And large or small organizations, I don't think it matters. You do need to have that call to action like you're talking about. You need to have that branded message that's going to allow you to get candidates interested in whatever you have going on in your organization. And I think some people just think, oh, you have to be a large organization to do this. But really, no, any size organization, you should really be thinking about how do we organize that message to have the same thing going across all platforms.
Authentic and impactful, and you say, you don't have to be a large organization. We can record on an iPhone or your Android and put out an authentic message that resonates with people. So
Yes.
Great. That's number two. Number three, we talk about hiring kind of versatile folks, right? If I can't afford or don't have the work, or my organization is just so big, but they haven't given me a dedicated resource, how can I approach that in a different way where I still bring on a resource? What are your thoughts on that?
We've worked with a lot of organizations, as you know, where they are larger organizations and they do have the resources, and we've had some where they don't have the resources. So it's about figuring out and starting from where is the process that we do have in place and what processes don't we have in place or have those gap areas that we could use help on or direction of where do we start so we can start filling the roles that we're looking to fill internally.
Yeah, if you're a smaller organization and you're watching this, you're struggling with, hey, I just don't have an internal resource. Get creative. Think about sharing responsibilities between an HR person and a recruiter. Or even in our organization years ago, we had a salesperson who was really good at recruiting and split their time. If you don't have that resource and you're not ready to go outside, definitely think about creating a more versatile position. You don't have to focus on standard job descriptions or standard responsibilities in that. But if you are of the size or in the position where you've got to make massive hires, or you just don't have the time to do it internally, think about RPO. But Melissa, there's some concerns with traditional RPO as well.
Sure. I think a lot of concerns initially off the bat are, oh goodness, I'm going to be giving over all of the hiring needs and responsibilities to somebody that's technically outside of my organization. The one thing I will say about going to an RPO is it's a partnership. So you're not, you are giving, responsibilities to an outside party. However, the outside party is supposed to be acting and working alongside you like they are part of your organization. So they should be able to speak to your company like they are working there directly. And that's the goal that we do when we are working in an RPO situation, to work directly with all of the hiring managers, with HR, the C-levels, whoever needs to be involved to really customize that on their comfortability level of what do you want us to be doing? Let's start from point A to get us to point Z.
Yeah, I think you said it eloquently. I mean, the scary thing around RPOs, as you said, is these long-term contracts where you're giving over everything and really don't have much recourse. One of the advantages of you and your team, Melissa, has been this hourly model in which you support our clients through RPO-like agreements, but allowing a lot more flexibility in the entire contract and the entire process.
Correct. And it's been, more we work along the lines of let's customize it for you, right? Because every client is not going to have the same needs. They're going to have different processes already set up or different processes not set up. So really at the start, it's having those discoveries of like what will be best for you and your company, not what'll be best for the last company we worked with or another company, because you're not the same. We have some of the same things, but we really try to customize it based on the needs, because they're all going to be different. And you know what? They change too, right? Everything that happened this year, everything's changed. So just kind of being able, the hourly model, like you mentioned, helps us to be able to pivot really quickly and kind of figure out where do we troubleshoot if needed, what needs to be, rearranged or whatever that we decided maybe at the beginning of the year that we now need to change at the end of the year. So having that kind of like, oh no, I don't know if I give all of this over, having like that customization of, no, they're really going to work with me as a partner, and we can change and move things around as needed as the organization starts to change and as they start filling those hiring needs.
Well, in essence, you've made RPO palatable to a lot of folks that are afraid of just giving over everything in long contracts. So if you're watching this and you're stuck with, man, I just don't have that resource, here's 4 helpful hints that we just talked about that you could potentially leverage. Melissa, thank you for your input on that. Here at Qualigence, that Melissa and I are part of, we're all about people living their purpose. And the whole goal is to help you and your company recruit the right people. We say this all the time, Melissa, the right people for the right role at the right time and for the right reason. And our structure allows us to do that. In addition, for weekly advice on how to best tackle your hiring performance challenges, subscribe and click the notification bell. And for more information on the group that Melissa actually runs, in terms of all of the services and delivery and recruiting that we offer, click the link to our website below. Listen, thanks for watching. Melissa, thank you for being a part of this, and we'll see you guys on the next one.